So it is part 5 of my mega loft clear out, and today was a very productive day. And I needed it to be a productive day for a couple of reasons. The first, I'm a little bit behind on where I wanted to be this week. I wanted to do some decluttering of the loft stuff yesterday, but I was just too tired. I procrastinated all day. I was working from home. I had a decent time slot in my diary to take a lunch break and do some decluttering. And I basically spent most of the day staring into space and then panicking and realizing I actually had quite a lot of work to do. And yeah, the day was wasted. Well, that's how I felt like at the time. And my 2-year-old had not slept the night before. She'd come into bed with us at 3 a.m. She eventually passed out at about 5:30, by which point I was pretty wired and struggled to get back to sleep. It was chaotic, emotional. And yeah, sometimes it just happens. And actually, we have had a really good run of our kids sleeping well. I feel like my youngest has finally got on board with the sleeping through the night largely. So if she's having bad dreams or she's not feeling well or whatever it is, and she doesn't sleep so good, then that's just one of those things with kids at that age, right? But lack of sleep massively impacts my ability to get stuff done. And for somebody who's spent the last 7 years sleep deprived with various children, you don't really appreciate just how much it impacts you until you start to get more sleep. And so I think where I've been getting more sleep recently compared to what I had been, and now I can choose to stay up late like I am tonight, doing the voiceover for this video. That's my choice. I'll go to bed and maybe I'll get 6 or 7 hours of sleep, but it'll be decent sleep. Whereas, well, even just having this YouTube channel previously was impossible. That was my with my second child, who just did not sleep until he was about 3. And oh my goodness, he'd be up for hours. And it was just impossible just surviving, keeping on top, or keeping everyone fed and alive and in clean clothes and not losing my job. That was as best I could do then. So yeah, lack of sleep meant yesterday was a write off, and I was quite annoyed with myself about it. But thinking about it now, of course it was a write off because I just hadn't slept and I didn't have it in me to do any decluttering, and that's okay. Sometimes we don't. But today, having had a decent night's sleep last night, felt much better today. And the second reason why I just felt like I needed a really productive day with the lofty cluttering was, as I mentioned in my last video, I was getting a bit sick and tired of this particular category of sentimental stuff. This is my sentimental stuff. I still have to do the kids' sentimental stuff that I've kept on their behalf because I'm sentimental about it. But I'm not doing that straight after this. I need a break from sentimental stuff. And yeah, I was just sick and tired of this category. So today I woke up and I thought, you know what? We're going to just get this done. This particular category is going to be finished by the end of this day. And that is what happened, my friends. So I am super pleased with that. So my kids were in early morning clubs at school, and I thought, you know, I'm just going to break this down into bite-sized chunks throughout the day. So I have edited it all together so it looks like I just sat in one place for a couple of hours. That was not the case. So I started out this morning before I started work. I had some time, and I basically aimed to just get everything out and separate out the photographs. So the thing that I knew I wanted to get going with is minimizing the amount of photographs I have. I have a lot of loose photographs. I've got some photo albums, but I have a lot of loose photographs. So I already have one photo box. I said 2 photo boxes I have. And then I bought another one. I bought a larger one because the photo boxes I have only really take the 6x4 pictures, and I've got quite a few mid-size photos. So I thought, do you know what? I'm just gonna get rid of one of these boxes, condense them into the 2, one of the kind of regular size, one of the slightly larger size, get all those photos away in those boxes, and minimize them as well. So going through the pictures and checking out, what ones do I actually remember the picture? Do they have people in that I want to remember? I don't want like hundreds of pictures of ex-boyfriends. So, one or two just to remind myself of the sometimes poor decisions I made in the past. That's fine. But not that many. So, firstly, I'm just categorizing stuff. So I'm going through stuff and I'm categorizing it as I go. So I've got a pile of like photo albums, and I have got a pile of pictures, and then I've got a bunch of like school stuff that I want to keep, and then other kind of, what a category for kind of general stuff. So I've got cards and tickets and, just sort of random little trinkets that mean something to me. So I have kept some school stuff. I have very minimal school stuff, and that's the stuff that I'm going through right now in the video. So I have got some artwork. I've always loved art, and I mean, it's the stuff I did at school was not, amazing or anything. I'm not winning awards for it, or I was at school. I was winning school awards for it. But I just love looking back on some of it and just remembering some of the stuff I actually enjoyed at school, because I did not enjoy school in the round. I was bullied and I did not have a great time of it. And so, just remembering some of the things that I did actually enjoy. And a few school reports. I've just kept a few. I got rid of some in a previous declutter where when I was reading them, they just didn't make me feel good. So I'm only keeping stuff that makes me feel happy, or sometimes some of the things I do look back on with an element of sadness, usually because the person involved in the memory is no longer with us. So there is definitely like some sadness in the stuff that I've kept, but mostly love. The items that I'm keeping that make me feel a bit sad also give me that feeling of love. And then we have everything else is basically evokes a memory, a happy memory of a good time. And I have very much tried not to keep things which don't make me feel good. What I want to do is condense everything so that I have it all in that clear plastic box that you see behind me. And at the moment, I sort of divvied it up between the two boxes. I had the things largely within that clear plastic container, but then a bunch of stuff heaped on top and a bunch of stuff that was under my bed. So I've pulled it all together, and that's what we want to do. That is the aim for today. If you are also in the middle of a declutter right now, then drop us a comment and let us know what you are decluttering, or what would be the kind of number one area that is really bugging you right now that you wish that you could blitz with a good declutter. I'm always interested to know. And also, I feel like I need some inspiration for what I tackle next. It's going to take me a little while to get through the loft. But by the end of this month, I want largely to have completed my loft declutter so that I can move on. When I'm like sat in my house now, I can definitely see the benefits of the decluttering that I've done so far. Like, it's made life much easier and simpler. I'm really happy with what I've achieved, but do I feel that kind of lightness and calmness that I wanted to feel when I get to the end of this kind of series of declutters? And the answer is no, I do not. And also, I find that the house is getting messy quickly. Now, part of that is having three very young children and working long hours and all the chaos that comes with that. So, that's inevitable to some degree. But I definitely feel like some of the mess that happens like on a daily basis is due to just the fact that we still have too much stuff. Now, I'm not aiming to become a, minimalist. I want to minimize my stuff. So I want to be more minimal, but not a minimalist. Or I mean, actually, truth be told, I'd love to be a minimalist. I would actually love to like go full on like minimal mom and have very little. But I think that would be very difficult to achieve. Partly because I'm just not sure that I have it in me. My husband definitely doesn't want to live like that. And my kids are very fond of their stuff too. So, whilst, I think there are definite arguments for why, you can get your family on board eventually, I feel like that would be such a battle when I'm not sure that I myself, like left to my own devices, could achieve it, if that makes sense. So, anyway, I want to keep going, and I feel like now I'm almost at that point where, like, can I achieve much if I dedicate time to just one room, or do I need to just keep going through doing like big kind of power declutters of the whole house? Like just hit up room by room and see what I can get rid of and do that multiple times. I don't know. If you have like really like gone for it with the declutter, got to the point where you feel like your house is calm and or a lot calmer, what was your strategy? Did you do it room by room, or did you like just go around just picking up whatever you could each day? I'm also quite interested in doing another kind of decluttering challenge. I've seen a lot of the challenges where you do like one item on day one and then two items on day two and so on. And I quite like the idea of that. And also have seen it where you do that, but you don't have to do like it in order. So I saw somebody who had like 30 days on a schedule, and if one day, like the first day they did 12 items, they just ticked off, the number 12. And then, the next day it could be number five, whatever they had like time for in that particular day. And I really like the idea of that, of doing that. So we're now in March. That could be a potential for next month. So there, I'm doing my planning as I talk, basically. I feel like that could be a good one. And then maybe some of you guys would want to join me in doing that, maybe. Let me know in the comments if a decluttering challenge for April sounds good to you. I would definitely like. I'm got an eye on the fact that we're nearly like a quarter of the way through the year, which is incredible. Time definitely speeds up, but also that we're very quickly going to be getting into summer. And summertime and the summer holidays is just such a busy time of year. I feel like you've got the summer holidays, school summer holidays, and then Christmas as like my two big busy times of the year. If you have young children, I am positive that you feel this too. So even though like in the summer, my kids will need to go to summer camps a little bit of the time because I will be working. We do have a little bit of holiday booked, but we'll also be working, and for a lot of the time, they will need to be in camps and they'll be out of the house. But the whole thing of being at camps and like having to prepare packed lunches and get them to different places and get them back in time to cook them tea and all the rest of it is there's more basically to life even when they're at camps. There is more going on around the house. They're out, the kids are just home more, and then that means more mess is created. And the time that the kids are home, I do want to spend as much quality time with them as I possibly can, and that is something I don't feel like I'm doing a lot of now. And partly because of all the stuff that we have to manage in the house, I'm really hoping that we'll get to the point where I feel like the balance is tipped more in favour of quality time with the kids. Whereas at the moment, I feel like the balance is tipped a bit too much in favour of just general life responsibilities, tidying up and cleaning and cooking and all of those things, which, we all have to do to some degree. But I just feel like I'm not spending as much time with them as I would like. So, anyway, let me know what you think of my strategy at the moment, and also like what you think I should be tackling next. Is there another kind of decluttering challenge that you have come across you think would be really fun for me to do in the month of April? Or what do you think of that kind of, number of items decluttering challenge? Let me know. I'm just not sure. My only reservation with like decluttering a number of items each day is like, will that have as big an impact as I want it to have? So, I want to be doing something in April which is going to make like a big difference to how the house feels. And yeah, I'm not sure that I have got the solution there at the moment. It was obviously easier when I first started like really trying to tackle the clutter in my house in December. there was a lot to declutter. So each time I went in to kind of, tackle an area, I feel like I could make quite an impressive difference. I mean, not always. There were definitely days where I was only able to kind of declutter a more minimal amount of stuff from the house, but largely that you could see that impact day upon day. And now, like, I've got to the point where like the easy stuff is gone. It's getting harder to really make that difference. But then on the other hand, I need to, and I need to keep at it. I don't want to stop until I get to the point where I'm in the house, like where I'm sitting, that's sat now. I'm sat on the sofa that you see in this video. That's where I'm sat right now, recording this voiceover. And I want to get to the point where I'm like sat on the sofa in the evening and I look around and I think, blimey, doesn't this look good? Like, it feels good, it feels calm. Yeah, I've got space. I feel like someone described it to me as like feeling like you can breathe in your house again. Like you get to that point where you feel like you can breathe. And I loved that. Whoever described it like that, like it was really stuck with me. And that's how I want to feel. I want to sit down and I want to feel like I can breathe. So we are not there yet, but we will get there. I am confident that we will get there. And if you have been decluttering your own homes for a time and you feel like you are there, or you're nearly there, then please share with us what it's like and how long it took you to get there as well. I'm really interested in that. Somebody commented on one of my posts recently that they had been decluttering for like the last 7 years, and I think on the one hand, like you could think of that like, wow, 7 years, that's kind of, that's a long slog, right? And well done to that person for 7 years, keeping it up, like amazing. But also, I think if you told me when I started this, like you'll be decluttering in 7 years' time still, I would have been a bit depressed by that thought. Not to say that you should be, because now that I am part way through this declutter, I can totally see. I can see that process. I can see how it takes such a long time, especially when, like me, you're kind of chipping away at it. And I do not have capacity to take a couple of weeks off work and like absolutely blitz the house. And also, I'm just not sure that I would be able to, like, that works, because I feel like, to have the energy levels to keep up the momentum to do like a major blitz of your house, like a major declutter, that's a lot. It's pretty intense. So the way I'm doing it, breaking it down to small chunks, quite often spending, between 40 to 45 minutes decluttering in any one kind of particular episode, then, it kind of it keeps me going, because each day I have that motivation to tackle a particular task. Not always, but I know that I don't have to spend masses of time doing it. So often I can just say to myself when I'm not feeling it, just spend 15 minutes. And then once that 15 minutes is up, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to want to continue. So anyway, I would love to hear from you. I'd love all your thoughts. I absolutely love getting your comments. And I try to reply to as many of them as I possibly can. I feel like we are growing such a wonderful, welcoming, warm, lovely community here, and that makes me so happy, because that is all I ever wanted for this YouTube channel. So speaking of wonderful communities on YouTube, I wanted to share a few of my favorite YouTube channels that I have been watching recently. So just a few days ago, YouTube recommended to me a video by the Unexpected Gypsy, and it was like things that they wish that they had learned earlier in their life. They're in their 50s, and I really loved, like, I just, the vibe of the channel, of the person, loved that particular video. So go and check out the Unexpected Gypsy. Also, another one of my favorites, and a lot of you have been sent over to my channel from this particular channel, but if you have not been and you have not heard of them, then go and check out Mac at Midwest Magic Cleaning. I always like, oh, Mac just makes me laugh, has like the best sense of humor, but also has really helped to like educate me on the kind of the psychology behind like why we end up getting into the position that we do with our houses so often. And I can really relate when I watch a lot of his videos as a child of a parent or parents who struggle with hoarding. But for my mother, it's not such a problem because she has, I guess, has limited herself to some degree and also has, a decent sized house in which to contain her many, many treasures. But for my dad, who has always struggled with hoarding, who has a very small flat, it has been a big problem that I've been trying to help him with recently. So go and check out Mac. He's got a bit of an obsession with the animal, the moose, apparently. And also another person that I have been loving is Remy Clog. I absolutely love Remy's videos, and I feel like I can relate to Remy so much. She also has young children and has been trying to get back on top of her house, decluttering as much as she possibly can, whilst juggling work and children and everything else that life throws at us. So if you like my stuff, then I think you'll really like Remy too. So go and check out those channels. I will try to remember to link them in the description. Now on to what I will be tackling next. So next up in the loft, because we still have a ways to go for the loft, I want to tackle the kids' clothes again. I have got the kids' clothes out and I have been through them. I've certainly been through the boys' clothing that I have in the loft hand down a few times now, I feel. But my daughter is starting to get out of her current clothes size a little bit. She needs some new t-shirts in rotation. I know I have clothes for her up in the loft. So I want to get those down anyway, because I just need to. I need to go through that. So I figured I would just get like all of the kids' clothes down and start to go through those. I also have set aside some memory clothing. So clothing from the kids from their younger years that I want to have made into a memory blanket. I have also paid the deposit to have a memory blanket made for each one of them. And the idea was I paid that deposit like in the autumn of last year. The idea was I send everything off and then their blankets could be made in time for them to enjoy over the winter. Because my kids love like snuggling under a blanket. But yeah, that's not happened. And even if I send them off now, they're not going to get them back until like summer. But I need to get this down. It's one of those jobs I need to get sorted. And then it also gets a bunch of clothes like straight out of the loft and actually like utilize these things and get them like actually, being something of like help in the house rather than just taking up space. So that's what I'm going to be doing next. I'm going to be tackling the kids' clothes. And then I feel like Christmas decorations at some time need to come out again so that I can go through those, or at least Christmas clothing. Perhaps not Christmas decorations, because I feel like I went through those quite well when I was putting them away. I did a declutter of the Christmas decorations then. And then we have other seasonal stuff. We've got Easter stuff. Easter's coming up very soon, so I need to get that out anyway. I want to go through the Easter stuff. I want to go through the Halloween stuff. And yeah, but we're getting there. I can definitely see us getting to a point where the loft is like done by the end of the month. That is the aim. Or to be honest, if I don't get to the point where the loft is done by the end of the month, I'm moving on anyway. Because come April, we need a new challenge, and I do not want to still be tackling the loft in April. I will say that with all of my decluttering, like it's never one and done. Like I don't get to the point where I think like, wow, I have minimized this to the absolute level that I can, and that is it. And I will never have to revisit this category because that, like I know I'm going to need to keep coming back to stuff. So I always just want to do my best and know that I can come back and do more at a later date. So for this particular loft declutter, sentimental stuff, I did do, I feel like really well in minimizing the stuff. And then it was a case of like, box Jenga and trying to get it all in there organized. So I managed to get to the point where I had all the school stuff in one folder. I had all the photographs in those two blue boxes that you see beside me, and I had larger pictures in another envelope. I have got everything to do with the kids, all cards from the kids, etc., in one little kind of box. And then this box you see me grappling with there is stuff from my husband, but the box was just too big. So I will need to go and buy another one. So this is what we end up with. I did not manage to get absolutely everything in the box because the photos are outside, but that's fine. I was nearly there. And I need to go through the photos and organize them properly, but that will be for another day. So here's everything I got rid of, and I'm pretty pleased with that. I've got a few frames to go to the charity shop. I've got loads of pictures and cards here, like a heap of pictures and cards. And all that's going to go in the recycling. I will see you in the next one. Bye.